All right, so welcome. This class, if you're new to it, is really oriented towards um, diving into the current astrology, as well as through that learning different themes in astrology, the language of astrology, and then really we do that for the first half so that we can go into a practice in the second half that can take us deeper, be more relevant to what we've talked about, and help us kind of mine for the gold that learning about astrology from a cerebral place can't necessarily deliver us. So, really, it's the body that teaches the mind. We talk about it and we discuss, but the practice is really, for me, where we can kind of pick up the gold. So, today, what I wanted to talk about was Mercury retrograde because it's on every astrologer's Instagram right now. And it's an interesting period of time to pay attention to, mostly because it happens frequently. Mercury retrograde happens. Hey, Lucy. Mercury retrograde happens for about 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 4 times a year. So when we kind of lay it out like that, all of the like fear mongering talk about, oh no, it's Mercury retrograde, um, doesn't necessarily hold so much weight because 1/3 of our entire year, 1/3 of our entire lives are in Mercury retrograde. So our best use of time with this transit is to understand it and then get the most out of it. So, what is Mercury retrograde? If you're totally new to understanding this concept and maybe you've just seen it like written on a board or referenced, Mercury retrograde is a um, it's really an optical illusion. Mercury is not moving backwards. It's not like the Earth's orbit changes directions and then all of a sudden we're going backwards when we were going forwards. It doesn't necessarily mean that. However, what we're looking at is perspective. From our perspective on Earth at this current time, Mercury is as close between the Earth and the Sun as it will be or as it normally is. And because Mercury is revolving on its own axis in its own orbit around the Sun, we're revolving on our own axis and moving around the Sun. The differences in speed and movement makes it appear that Mercury is moving backwards. And from our vantage point on Earth, Mercury is at around 25 degrees of Aquarius. And from that vantage point, because of all of those different movements, it will be measured that Mercury is moving backwards all the way to 11 degrees of Aquarius. And that space, 25 degrees back to 11 degrees, and all the planets that are in between are really kind of receiving the maximum power of Mercury. Because the key insight here is that to receive that optical illusion where Mercury is going backwards, it actually means Mercury is closest to us, meaning it's more powerful. And so all the talk about like Mercury messing with us and screwing with us and our technology not working is actually because Mercury's magnetic pull is closer to us, more powerful. And so that's why our thoughts get kind of screwed up or messed around, or our communications get you know, like screwed with a little bit. Has anyone have any like cliche Mercury retrograde story ever in their life? Like your phone broke during Mercury retrograde, or you sent the wrong text to your mom instead of your boyfriend, or something like that. It happens. But what we want to remember is that we're never going backwards, right? In life, Mercury's never going backwards. But sometimes it's actually good for us to slow down and reflect and look backwards. And that's one of the like philosophical teachings that we can take from a Mercury retrograde period is that even if we are at a standstill, even if we're reflective and we're looking back at the actions that we've taken or the things that we've done, we're not actually moving backwards from our life. Reflection is not a bad thing. It actually helps us move forward with more authenticity or more discipline, right? And so if we take these 3 week period of time, 3 week periods of time that happen every 3 to 4 months, about 3 times a year, then and we take them as times to slow down, times to look behind us, be reflective or retrospective, and then from that place choose how we want to move forward and what action that we want to take, we're really, really utilizing the time, as astrologers would suggest that we do, myself included. And we're also finding balance in life, because could you imagine if like all of us got 3 weeks like permission slip from the government or our boss or whoever our authority figures are, that just said, hey, take 3 weeks and like think about everything that's happened since September, everything that's happened to your life, everything that's happened in your relationships, everything that's happened in the world, and just to consider what you've learned or what you would do differently, or what you would do the same. Where have you grown as a person in the last 3 months? Where do you still wish you were making progress? That is like the true essence or way that we can use the essence of this energy. And could you just imagine if we got to do that? I mean, like we can do it and give ourselves permission to do it ourselves, but like everybody gets a 3 week vacation just every couple months to figure your shit out. I feel like I would make better decisions, because normally we're just moving forward, forward, forward really fast. And the reason why technology breaks down during Mercury retrograde, or things, happen in communication, is because we're still trying to move at the same pace. But because of this slow down that's happening and this reflective energy that we have, we can't always move forward at the same pace. And isn't that true of life? Like, don't we have days where we just cannot move as fast as other days? Or days where we just have to say, you know what? It's movies in bed for me. I've got to do it. And do we punish ourselves for that? I mean, sometimes I'm like still trying to push myself forward, even though I know what I need to do is take a break. And this is like literally my job, and I still struggle with it. We're all struggling with this whole idea of like not trying to always be productive and to find rest. And so from now, or really Saturday, until February 20th, can we give ourselves permission to just go a little bit slower, or at least not immediately say yes or no to something? And instead, the like perfect Mercury retrograde mantra is, I'll think about it, I'll get back to you. And if we can just do that like 10% more, we're using that time really wisely. Okay, so that's Mercury retrograde. Now, this Mercury retrograde is in the air sign of Aquarius. And in fact, all Mercury retrogrades this year are in air signs. That's notable because last year they were all in water signs. The year before that, they were all in water signs. And water really indicates emotion. So using the mind to process emotions, to work through how we're feeling. That's been the theme of Mercury retrograde the last 2 years. Now we're all air. And so that presents an opportunity for us to take an objective look at our thoughts, take an objective look at our repetitive thinking, at our assumptions, at our beliefs, and all of the things that sort of guide 80 to 90% of our thoughts, patterns, beliefs, behavior, which is our subconscious mind. And so as we're moving forward in air, the focus really, really is on the mind. It's on information, it's on data, and really the idea of Aquarius is objectivity. If we can take like an eagle eye view, looking at ourselves without judgment, if possible, and really, really understand, where is my mind going? Where does this come from? Is this like, a part of my childhood that I can just let go of finally? Or is there some wisdom to this that I still need to excavate and I still need to dig into? Maybe it's appropriate for me to hire someone to help me with this. Maybe I need to talk to a therapist, or I need to journal more. I need to support myself to take a more objective look at my thoughts, because we can stay so personal when it comes to working with our mind. And then we're kind of guarding our wounds a little bit. Like, I just don't want to look there. It's all good. I'll wait until next time. And then we just find ourselves in the same loop, like getting in the same fight over the same thing or being triggered by the same things. So this time for the next 3 weeks is a really, really, really good time to work some of that stuff out. And so usually what I suggest during Mercury retrograde is like have a journal, maybe, have an objective friend that you can talk to, or a therapist, or a coach, or go for long walks and let your mind wander a little bit. This is an opportunity to sort of, instead of operating from logical left brain, which is trying to find like, what's step B, what's step C, on and on and on and on. This is more of a creative period of time where we can use our curiosity, we can use our tools of meditation and subconscious work to go a little bit deeper than we might normally with our logical mind. So the other big theme of this Mercury retrograde, and really it's a theme that will be baked into the rest of the year, is reconciling the past and the future. And the reality is we're only in the present, right? But how often are we pulled towards the past, whether it be through nostalgia or memory, or just simply a longing, like, I just want to go back to normal. I just want to go back to the way that it was 9 months ago, or 13 years ago, or I just want to go back to being 5 again. This pull towards the past or to maintaining the status quo is one of the roots of our suffering. The other pull is towards the future. Like, why can't we just fix everything now? Why can't we just change everything? Or I want to create this, or I want to be done with this program, or I want to be complete here. I want to be 15 years into the future because everything will be better then. And so that pull towards the future is another cause of suffering that we can be in the midst of right now. And then the third cause is sort of being pulled in both directions at the same time and not really being able to make a decision, or not knowing what it is that we want because we're just being pulled by past and future. And another way to think about this is being torn between our expectations and our comforts. Like, I expect that the world operates like this, and this. And when I have all of these conditions met, then I'm comfortable. And the other pull, or the verses of that, is this pull towards tearing down all of that, creating something new, and liberating ourselves from everything that we've been attached to, all of our suffering, and just sort of like cutting everything and building a completely new life. And so it's, again, expectations and comfort that we've learned from the past, and this idea of liberation and freedom and new that we imagine happens in the future. Does anyone relate to these two poles? Like feeling like, I don't know which one I care about more. Yeah, I mean, like, I've had so many moments in the last couple of weeks where I'm like, I just miss driving 75 miles a day across Los Angeles and exhausting myself and like eating croissants at coffee shops and being like so tired by the end of the day. Can I just go back to that? And because of that, I got to teach yoga. I got to see hundreds of people. I had such a rich life, and that I was so comfortable with that. And then I've had days where I'm like, oh my God, living in the virtual is so great. I can create so much. I can live wherever I want. And I'm so pulled into the future. And yet we're in this really liminal space right now. And this liminal space is really, really rich because we kind of can't do either, right? At least like in my world, and I know you guys, like we can't do that much right now, right? Like I think restaurants just opened in LA, but like still there's just this liminal space where we have no idea when or how things are going to change. We are having little sparks of ideas in that space. We still feel pulled towards the past, but there's so much richness here. And then symbolically today is this it's like the halfway point between winter solstice and spring equinox. And so right there is this moment where we're like, spring's not quite here, but we're closer to spring. Like tomorrow, we're closer to spring than we are to winter, like the first day of winter. That's so nice. It's like just like a glimmer of hope. And so, in this space that we are right now, this liminal, really rich space, what can we open ourselves up to? Right. And so, my question for you is, where can you break free from ideas and ideologies that aren't serving you anymore? Like, where can we just use this space before we've built a new reality? And when we're like really realizing, like, I'm probably not going to drive 75 miles a day around LA teaching at a bunch of yoga studios. That's probably not going to be my future. So I can let go of that idea. And then I'm in this full space of potential. What does that mean for how I can work with people? What does that mean for how I can teach? I don't quite know yet, right? So the next question that I want to ask you is, how can you open your mind to new possibilities? Some of us are more rigid in our thinking, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of us are more adaptable in our thinking. There's also nothing wrong with that. Some of us are more like to initiate thoughts, but we just kind of leave it there. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you consider your mind and where your blocks are, how can you kind of like loosen the rigidity? Where do you limit yourself before you even start? And maybe in that question, you can uncover what it is that you want. Because sometimes what it is that we deeply, truly want deep within ourselves is actually, in fact, being blocked by our own limiting belief. And so we can identify our limiting belief and then realize, like, oh, wait, I really actually want profound love in my life. Or I really want to actually move closer to home. Or I want to quit my job and find a new career, right? We can realize like where we're saying, oh, I can never do that, or I have to wait until the perfect conditions before I can take that leap. And so maybe this time is one of just kind of uncovering limiting beliefs. Now, I wanted to actually, in the last couple of minutes here, do a little screen share, which is very Virgo of me, of Mercury retrograde. So we can take a little glimpse at it. And if this means nothing to you, no worries at all. It's just a map with a bunch of symbols on it and some lines. This is what the solar system looks like right now. These are planets. These are the constellations. You know them as Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and so on. And then this middle part is us, right in the middle. What's going on? And so right here is where everything is at the current moment based on Los Angeles as the center. So I know not everyone is in LA, but that's our center. What I want to call your attention to is right here. Do you see how many planets are in Aquarius? Like all of them. This is Venus. Venus just entered Aquarius this morning. Venus is our relationships, it's love, it's beauty, it's art, it's like what we desire. We have Saturn in Aquarius for the next 2.5 years. Saturn is responsibility, it's time, it's structure, it's the rules that we make for ourselves or the rules that someone else makes for us if we decide someone else is our ruler. Saturn really teaches us a lot about responsibility. Then we have Jupiter. Jupiter's in Aquarius most of this year. Jupiter relates to expansion and growth, philosophy, learning, spirituality, like all of these ways we grow as people is very Jupiter. Yeah. And then we have the sun. The sun is in our individual charts related to our ego and our identity and sort of like our essence when we're like not plugged into the programs we might be plugged into, like who we are at our true core. When the sun is in Aquarius, we all collectively magnetize towards that, towards the ideals of Aquarius, like freedom and liberation and innovation and so like society. We're really interested in like what's everyone doing? It's very Aquarian. Okay, and then finally at the very end, there's Mercury. And Mercury is in red, which means that it's retrograde. And the reason that I want to point this out is because we have a very, very, very strong pull to Aquarius right now. And Aquarius is freedom, objective freedom. Everyone should be free. No one should be censored. Everyone can do whatever the heck they want. Well, yeah. And Aquarius also recognizes we have a social responsibility to each other. And so we can't all do whatever we want necessarily. But if we're all aligned, maybe we can move forward change together. And so when we're talking about Aquarius, we're talking about the collective and we're talking about a desire for freedom. And so if Mercury is retrograde now and we're in this place of reflection, this is one of the themes we're reflecting on: freedom. We're reflecting on what role we play in collective freedom, what role we play in the collective. We're thinking about maybe objectively how our words, our thoughts, and our actions are contributing or pulling away from our own freedom or from the change that we wish to see in the world. And in the last 2 weeks, what I've talked a lot about is our personal responsibility to the social, to the group, right? And so this is similar. Mercury retrograde is really introspective. It's a time for us to consider these themes. Now, I'm going to progress the chart forward. I'm going to progress it forward a day each. So look at Mercury and then see, let's see if we can keep it all in the same place. So you see now Mercury is going backwards, backwards, backwards. Now it's at 20 degrees. Oh, look, Mercury just switched places with the sun. So that means that on the 8th of February, Mercury forms a conjunction to the sun. So all of this reflection is really amplified on February 8th. And you can mark that like in your calendar. This is a really good day for me to notice how I feel, pay attention to any brilliant insights or thoughts or ideas, and to really consider how free do I feel. And remember, Mercury is the mind. And so what thoughts liberate me and what thoughts imprison me, right? Like what thoughts keep me from my freedom? Oh, I can't do that because I'm not smart enough, or I don't have enough money for that. Like all of these limiting beliefs that actually keep us from shining as bright as we could. Mercury conjunct the sun gives us that chance to look at that. All right, so we're at the 8th. I'm going to progress it forward one day. What we see is Mercury here, 18 degrees of Aquarius, square Mars. It says 17 degrees, but I just got the timing wrong. It's the 10th. I'm being recorded and I'm wrong. But on the 10th of February, we have Mercury square Mars. And this is us looking at like what thoughts liberate us to take action and what thoughts actually prevent us from taking action. How do our beliefs shape the things we go after in life? And how do our beliefs actually cut us off from going after what we want or being open to the world giving us what I want? Mars is all about action, direction, how we go after what we need and want. Okay. So I'm going to keep going forward just 2 days and then look here. So we have a little conjunction now between Venus and Mercury happening, and that's on the 12th of February. Now we get to consider how our thoughts, how our beliefs block us from, or let me think of the right way to say this, contribute to our relationships. So we get to look at how we're thinking in our relationships. What are we telling ourselves about relationship in there? Are we allowing ourselves to be authentic in our relationships? Or do we have a mask on? And maybe this is a chance for us to look and be more objective. Maybe all of those times I'm getting triggered in this relationship is actually a pattern within myself and not that other person's fault. Maybe I can look at that. Maybe I'm going to journal about that or talk to my friend about that. Because perhaps during this time we can start to see some patterns in relationship emerge that we can work with a little bit. All right, so I'm going to pop forward to the 14th of February, and what do we see? A conjunction between Mercury and Jupiter. This is actually pretty positive energy, so February 14th could be a pretty positive day for some people. But Jupiter, expansion and growth. How do my thoughts contribute to my own growth, to my own path forward? Jupiter relates to philosophy, to belief systems. Do I have liberating beliefs that I'm banking? Or am I really relying on some limiting beliefs that are holding me back and holding me back from contributing to society? Right? And so over the course of this month, we're getting a review of our ego, our identity, what helps us shine or blocks our shine, relationships, beauty, art, how we create, and our own expansion and philosophy and beliefs, our ability to learn and grow. Now, Mercury continues backwards until 11 degrees on the 20th. And then see, it went white again. So it stops just short of Saturn. And at that stopping just short of Saturn, we're still kind of close. So we could consider during this time, again, the perennial question of the year or the enduring question of the year. In what ways am I taking responsibility for my reality as well as the reality that we're creating together? And we'll feel during this time this pull towards the past and this pull towards the future. And that's sort of the challenge of Aquarius season for us this year. And with this Mercury retrograde, the real gem is how can I use my reflection of the past to propel me forward, to move me forward? How does history inform future? And then the fun part is, once we move out of Mercury retrograde, we keep going forward. Now Mercury's going to have another dance with Jupiter, up, and it's going to have another dance with Venus. And that's about it because the sun moves a little bit faster. But we'll see Mercury really playing a role in helping us reconcile some of the challenges that may have come up over the last few months, some of the ways that we've seen ourselves in our highest light and maybe a little bit of our darker shadow. And Mercury can really help us because Mercury is infinitely curious. And so in Aquarius, that objectivity is amplified and also kind of gamified. Like, how can we just objectively look at ourselves without judgment? And that's one of the gifts of curiosity, is that hopefully we can be curious without judgment. Curiosity in its essence doesn't really have judgment. And so how do we use this time to have fun with ourselves? And to look at ourselves without being like, wow, I'm an idiot. Or maybe if we do say like, I'm an idiot, whenever I do say that to myself, it's kind of in jest. So if you bash on yourself, that's totally fine. I'm from the East Coast. I like love bashing on myself. But doing it with lightness, doing it from a place of like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with the time that we're living in. It's tough, there's challenges, it's completely unknown. But again, we're in this liminal space where we really have so much potential to find change within ourselves and within the world. And so taking it bite by bite, step by step, reflecting when it's time to reflect so that we can move forward when it's time to move forward. So in my kind of close, Mercury retrograde is really it's part of the wholeness of every cycle. We can't always move forward. And there's nothing wrong with moving backwards or feeling stagnant Does anyone have any questions before we jump into the meditation? You can unmute yourself or use the chat. All good? All right. There'll be questions, or you can ask questions at the end or DM me, however you want to talk to me. But let's do something with all this information other than listening to one person talk. So we're going to do a yoga nidra tonight. And if you know yoga nidra, you know it's traditionally done lying down. However, I'll also offer you can do it sitting up. Choose which way will allow you to be comfortable in your body, to feel safe in your space, and to ideally stay awake and aware. Though if you do doze off, that's also totally acceptable too. In this transition time, I'll invite you to find your space, sitting or lying. Make yourself comfortable. You can feel free to either keep your camera on or turn it off. My eyes will be closed for most of this, so do what feels right and safe for you. And just take a few minutes to fidget. As you get cozy, check and see, can I be a little cozier? Take 3 deep breaths. Let them be cathartic, out of the mouth, audible. Go ahead and a couple of times just clench your fists and curl your toes and release them, just letting any tension of the day or of the times release gently. And then take any last little movements. Maybe lengthen your neck, wiggle your feet, all these different ways you can move. And then see if in your next exhale or two you can find relative stillness. You can find the ability to weighten yourself towards the earth a little bit more and just let gravity do gravity's thing. As you release the effort of your breath here, take note of where you are in your mind today. If your mind's felt particularly active or frustrated, or maybe it's gentle and open. And there's nothing wrong with any embodiment, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually here. See if you can open yourself up to the intention of curiosity, of being objective and open to your own experience here, whether you fall asleep, whether you get annoyed, whether you have complete bliss. All of it is welcome, is relevant, and is also irrelevant. Just take this time to be curious and open. That's it. And take note of how you feel in your own heart today. Emotionally, what's there? You don't have to go into story, you don't have to analyze, you're just observing all that's there. And just notice how your overall energy is right now. High, low, medium, unknown. And find your breath softly pulling in and out of your belly, much like waves embrace and recede from the shore. And as your consciousness settles into the softness of your belly, just notice how it feels to be in your body. And softening any judgment of the body, just noticing any areas that feel achy, pained, challenged. Any areas that feel good and open. And then overall, how it feels to be in your body today, now. Recognizing all these different parts of you that some have been named just now, many more exist. And consider what it is that most pulls you in your life right now. A yearning, a wish, or a desire. An intention that you consistently set for yourself. And let's use that as a sankalpa today in our practice. And a sankalpa is simply a vow. And we magnetize what it is that we are committing to by stating it in the present tense as if we already had it. In a positive way, as if it is adding to our life already. And so you could use your sankalpa to say, I am healed. I trust the universe. I trust myself. I am open to receive. I am safe. I am loved. I am whole. I am abundant. So we have so much to work with. Consider one statement that rings strongly for you. You don't have to believe it. You simply have to try it on. Connecting a future desire with your present embodiment. And once you've found that sankalpa, that vow that you can use tonight, repeat it in your head a few times, maybe 3 or 4. Give it some energy, that desire. Build it up inside of yourself and then let it go. Now we begin the practice of Yoga Nidra. Beginning with a scan of your body. We'll move progressively through the body. All you have to do is listen. We'll begin with the right side of the body. So go ahead now and feel your right hand, the thumb, first finger, second finger, third finger, and fourth finger. Feeling all 5 fingers, the joints and knuckles, and even the fingernails. Feeling each finger separate and together. Can you continue to feel your fingertips and also now feel your palm? Feeling your whole right hand, your right wrist. Adding on, feel your right forearm and elbow, upper arm, armpit, and shoulder, your whole right arm, whole right arm, all of it. And continue to feel that right arm and expand now. Feel the ribs and the right waist, all the way down to that right hip. And from the hip, feel the right thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, sole of your right foot, top of your right foot, your right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Feel your whole right side. Every little piece, named and not yet named. Just that whole right side alive, whole and full. Notice any sensations, tingles or vibrations. The whole right side. Memorize that right side. However, now it's time to move to the left side. So go ahead and feel your left thumb. And stay there, feeling that left thumb until you are inseparable from it. Your consciousness lives in that left thumb. Move now to that first pointer finger, second finger, third ring finger, and the little finger. And feeling all of your fingers, the joints, the knuckles, the fingernails, each of them separate and together. Continue to feel all 5 fingers and now the palm of your left hand, and the back of your left hand, and the whole hand in its entirety. Adding on, feel your left wrist, lower arm and elbow, upper arm and shoulder, armpit and collarbone. Feel your whole left arm in its entirety. Continue to hold your left arm in your consciousness and travel down into your left ribs, waist, all the way down to that left hip. And from the left hip, feel the left thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, left heel, the sole of your left foot, the top of your left foot, your left big toe, second toe, third, fourth, and fifth toe. Your whole left side. From fingertips to toe tips, feel your entire left side. Any tingling, sensations of movement, everything named and not yet named. Your whole left side, alive and whole, full in and of itself. Now feel all 10 of your toes, both soles of your feet, both right and left heel, both of your calves, and the backs of both knees and thighs, and both sides of your buttocks and your low back. Vertebra by vertebra, feel your spine from the bottom to the top, climbing up your mid-back, your upper back and shoulders, and all the way to your neck and the curve of your skull. And bring your attention all the way to the back of your skull, the back of your head, place where your head meets the earth. And observe your whole back side, both sides, resting on the ground. And here now, let yourself be just a little bit heavier, as heavy as you are. And let that heaviness keep you connected to the earth as you travel to the crown of your head, to your hairline, forehead, and place your attention at the eyebrow center, right in the middle of the eyebrows. And gently observe your eyes roll up to that point, allowing sensation to meet your eyeballs, your eyelashes, and the soft skin around your eyes. And let awareness brush down the nose and across the cheeks. Sensation pours down your cheeks towards your lips and chin. And attention continues to fall deeper and deeper, layer by layer, upon your face. And as you linger here, feeling attention on your face, see if you can soften any remnants of personality or mood, any attachment to a specific look, and just allow the muscles of your face to let go. Find your ears and find the holes of your ears and enter in. See if you can meet yourself in the middle of your skull, that point where the two ears would intersect within your head. And as you find that place, as you enter the inner cave of the skull, just notice how spacious it feels. All of the possibility and potential there. And allow any softness to come to the brain, to the thinking mind. And carry that softness down to the throat. And from the center of your throat, soften any gripping or holding of expression. And carry that softness down to the heart and to the lungs, inviting softness to receive. And carry that softness down to the belly, allowing softness to integrate. And from here, from your center belly, notice your whole body. Feel your right side, your left side, your back side, your front side. From the soles of your feet to the crown of your head. Feel your whole self. And from deep within your being, any way that's possible, can you release attachment to form and allow yourself to exist in the formless, spacious place deep within yourself? Find the embodiment of your wholeness. No longer one part or another part. Disappear within yourself. And see if you can just notice how you breathe when you allow yourself to be fully free of any form. Like you're floating through space or the sky, or swimming through ocean. You are completely free. How does your breath demonstrate that freedom? Observe if your mind has wandered to something or somewhere else, and gently coax it back to your breath, your soft, uncontrolled breath. Now, rather than going deep into thought, we'll pose a simple question of just notice yourself when you're overwhelmed. Consider how your being, your breath, and your mind change when you're overwhelmed. And if at all possible, can you let yourself go right into overwhelm? Curiously observe who you become when you're overwhelmed. No matter how it feels, stay there. Curious, who are you when you're overwhelmed? And instantly, like the release valve is opened, the pressure is gone, and overwhelm disappears. Who are you when you're calm? Who do you become in your body, in your breath, and in your mind when you're at peace and you're calm, truly calm? Notice what that feels like within you when you are calm. And release the wandering of your imagination and observe yourself as you are. The state of your embodiment right now is perfect. Wherever you fall in your emotional, mental, or physical cycle is exactly where you are meant to be. Notice yourself in your perfect state of being. Nothing to change. From wherever you locate yourself within your body, as if you are growing wings now, fly yourself all the way up to the space between your eyebrows. and perch yourself there now. Visualizing yourself in this small form, perched like a bird right in the eyebrow center. And like you are a bird perched on a very high limb, you're looking down at your world, looking down at the street that you live on, the characters that are a part of your current reality, and you as you see yourself today. All of this is playing out in the world below as you perch yourself above. And as you witness yourself from above, conjure up your deepest frustration, your most powerful roadblock right now. Conjure up the scene. See it play out. Where are you most blocked or frustrated? And what does that look like? What is different from this perspective? What do you notice about yourself? Are there any possibilities you haven't noticed until you've taken a look from this perspective? From this vantage point, looking down at yourself and your circumstances, what seems important to you? Now, if you could whisper down from this high, high perch any message to your current self, from your elevated, objective perspective, what does your current self need to know? As you look down at your current self and your current circumstances, the frustrations, the challenges, the roadblocks, out of your mouth, in complete confidence and clarity, is your sankalpa, your vow. You, in your current embodiment, look straight up. And both of these versions of you, the objective, high vantage point, wise, highest version of you, and the perfect, complete, current you, connect. All of the objective truth, all of the wisdom floods down. You are full of everything you need to know. You simply need to listen. You deeply need to hear. Repeat your Sankalpa, your vow. May it be true. May it be a remembrance that you belong to yourself. You have everything you need. And that the more open you are to hearing and to listening, the whole world gains. This high vantage version of you flies down and embraces the current you. The two become one, they become you. They expand to the regular size of you and fill your body. You slip into your fingers, you step into your toes, and you feel yourself whole, complete. In every timeline, past, future, and most essentially, importantly, now, the present. And welcome yourself back home. Breathe heavy, full breaths into the earth and allowing gravity to hold you. And the practice of Yoga Nidra tonight is complete. And take your time and lay here as long as you'd like. You can even turn this into bedtime if that suits you. Either way, whether you're lying here or closing your practice in a seat, let your movements be slow, conscious, and intentional. Let your breaths be gentle and in guidance of your movement. And then close as you rise with your gentle breath and your soft mind. Consider how you can be open to learning, to connecting, and to innovating this month. How can you be open to new possibilities? Maybe you simply write that down. I am open to new possibilities. May we find it in ourselves and in our minds first, so that we can embody it in our world. Namaste. Thank you. I will stay on for a few minutes to answer any questions or chat. If you feel like floating off to bed, I encourage it. If you want to talk privately at any time, I believe in nidra. I love it. If you want to talk anytime privately, you can find me on Instagram or my email, Julian Elizabeth, or on the Love website or anything like that. I have different programs coming up. I have a special week-long program that's specifically on Virgo and Pisces and how we can find health and habit and routine using astrology. What was that word for vow? Oh, Sankalpa. So that program is at the end of February. It starts on the 21st. I'll share more info on it. And then next Thursday, we'll have our monthly new moon circle, also with love. So just stay on the lookout on Instagram or email for some details on some fun things coming up this month and next. And then, yeah, if you have any questions about nidra or astrology,